Being from the South, I know a thing or two about how bugs can ruin a great outdoor experience. It's crazy how something so small can affect some of the potentially greatest experiences of your life. And that's why today's show is brought to you in part by Sawyer. You might know them as the water filter company. I actually have a couple Sawyer filters, but they make a lot of other great products too, including their insect repellent. And just some points about what it is. It's great for the whole family. It's actually safe to use on infants and those who are pregnant because they don't use DEET, the active ingredient. They use something better called picaridin. It actually lasts longer. It lasts up to 12 hours. Pretty incredible. And it doesn't damage any of your gear. So it's insect repellent specifically made for families who are also outdoorsy because it won't ruin any of that high dollar gear that you've bought to be out there. And it does a fantastic job of protecting you and your family from those vector-borne illnesses that are carried by insects. I know for me, I'm always carrying some insect repellent because I've had mosquitoes specifically ruin some pretty incredible backpacking experiences. Don't let it happen to you. Use Sawyer's 20% picaridin insect repellents. Find out more about that at sawyer.com. Play safe, travel safely. Sawyer. They keep you outdoors.
Everyone's, there's a couple people sleeping already. And I was like, people are sleeping already. And then from the dark recesses of the shelter, I just hear someone say, Alex? And my trail name's Armadillo. So I'm like, who in this shelter knows my government name?
This is the Adventure Sports Podcast, where we hear stories of adventure from every corner of the planet. We interview all sorts of folks who are using their sport to explore the world around them and give you the inspiration you need to get out there and have some fun. Hey folks, we're going to try to give you some adventure inspiration today by hearing from an athlete who is out on their adventure as we speak. Alex Armadillo Dyson decided to join us from the halfway point, the symbolic halfway point of the Appalachian Trail, which he is currently through-hiking. And so Alex, I've known him for about a year. He's been planning the Appalachian Trail through-hike for a while, but he's one of our Athletic Brewing ambassadors. So if you don't know, I work for Athletic Brewing during the day. It is a non-alcoholic craft beer, and Alex is one of our athletes. And when he decided to do this, I said, "Hey, it'd be really cool if we could do like a halfway point episode." And so he's literally calling us from a mountaintop near Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. And you're going to hear, background noise and animals and trains and whatnot. It's really cool. And the picture of where he was sitting while he took the call, he actually sent that to me after the interview. And that is in the show notes on our website, adventuresportspodcast.com. You should definitely check that out because it's a beautiful setting. And it was just really cool to hear from him since he's, done about 1,100 miles or so, and he's got the same amount left. And just hearing what it's like to actually be out there, especially this year. It's a very unique year. But anyway, thanks for joining, Alex. It was a pleasure talking with you, and good luck on the rest of your journey. And we're going to be following along, and hopefully we can do a follow-up episode when you finish the whole thing. But anyway, enjoy the episode, and you'll be hearing from us later in the week. All right, folks, welcome to the show. You might be listening on Without Compromise. You might be listening on the Adventure Sports Podcast. But either way, it's going to be an awesome episode. And today we have Alex Dyson, who's through hiking the Appalachian Trail. What's up, Alex? How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing good.
Yeah, so man, I heard you said you're on top of a mountain. Where are you? Like literally, where are you in the world right now or on the trail?
So I am at mile marker 1162. I am sitting on top of a mountain in Maryland. I'm looking at the Potomac, and then if I look to my right, I can see where it meets the Shenandoah River. So I'm in Maryland. My view to my south is Virginia, and then my view to the right is West Virginia.
Holy cow, man. How amazing is that? How good does it feel to be out there right now? Is it a nice day?
Oh, it's gorgeous. I mean, Yeah, it's like 62, a little overcast. I don't know if you can hear that train blowing by.
Oh, is that what that is? I heard it a little bit in the background, and I'm like, he's got this weird whistle in his voice, but like you're talking through one of those, like a harmonica or something. That's what it is.
Oh yeah.
Um, Dude, that's crazy. So, you're at mile 1100 and something. You're just over halfway mile marker wise.
Yeah, exactly.
How does it feel to be halfway done?
It feels pretty crazy. Because it feels like it hasn't been that long at all, but it's also like I've just been hiking and sleeping in the woods for so long that I can't really think of any other life at this point.
So how long have you been out there?
I started on July 20th, so we're about 9 weeks.
And I'm sure that it's felt a lot longer than that.
Yeah, it definitely has.
Man, I don't mean to like draw it all the way back, but I want to hear like, where are you from? Uh, did you grow up doing these things? And if not, how did you get introduced to the Appalachian Trail? Or, are you just always kind of doing this type of stuff?
So I am from West Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah, I wouldn't say I really I grew up with an appreciation of the outdoors, and I was in the Cub Scouts, and my dad took my brother and I to Colorado one time, and so I was always out in the woods, but I wasn't big into hard hiking like this or anything. And I wasn't even that athletic as a teenager, other than a little bit of skateboarding and biking. So yeah, I want to say it all really started like 2 years ago when I quit drinking. So once I quit drinking, and I was working in the beer industry, so it was like a big part of who I am. So once the drinking went away, it was like a big void to fill. And yeah, just hiking in the outdoors rushed in to fill that void.
It seems like it's really taken off too, man. You're
Yeah,
you're on the Appalachian
yeah,
Trail. It's world renowned.
I've definitely been getting carried away with it. So yeah, I came up with the idea to try through hiking the Appalachian Trail probably like a month into my sobriety, when I was just looking for something to really drive my focus into, and just really like do something big that I could feel proud of. And it's kind of insane that I'm standing here on top of a mountain looking at 3 states like halfway through it.
Yeah, man. I mean, what an adventure, and what a thing to kind of set yourself up to do. It's I think a lot of us can relate. Something in our identity changes, and then there's this void to fill. I'm a huge proponent, obviously, of filling that with something healthy like the outdoors or something like a big adventure. Has it fit that hole well for you? You know what I'm saying?
I think it filled it better than the drinking did. I mean, honestly, yeah, it's just been unreal just in the past 2 years, like the places I've hiked, just exploring all around New England, and, been getting into rock climbing and mountaineering, and, recently ice climbing. And it's just all these amazing things that really challenge me mentally and physically that I, never would have thought of, 5 years ago.
Wow, man, that is so cool. So I know that your plans, kind of like everyone else's, for 2020 were vastly changed. Like, what happened? What was your original start time? Was that difficult, or did you, I don't know, just kind of go in stride?
So the original plan was I was supposed to start northbound, starting in Georgia and hiking up to Maine. I had a start date of April 5th. And so my whole life was planned around that date. My lease ended March 31st. My job knew that my last day was April 3rd. I had train tickets down to Georgia. And then, it was around March 20th that, my job closed and laid everybody off. And then, everything just really started spiraling that 1 week before I was supposed to go. No one knew what, the future was going to look like. So it was a very easy decision to just put it on the back burner for the time being and see how, COVID played out. Yeah, so I spent that time, had to move into my mom's house, and, it was kind of a blessing because I got to do a lot of section hiking and got a lot more dialed in before I'd started the trail. But yeah, like it was tough, but I never felt backed into a corner by, having to change my plans.
I'm sure you have to kind of think that way being out on the trail this long. There's so many situations or days or
where you just kind of have to adapt and accept what the day is and deal with it. I don't know. I've
Yeah,
never through
absolutely.
hiked, but the little bit of the backpacking I've done, maybe a week or so at a time, it's like there's a lot of time that sucks, but there's a lot that's incredible. And I can't imagine 9 weeks out what you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, but it's, you don't think of it as, 9 weeks or 1,100 miles. Like right now, all I'm thinking is, oh, it's 3 miles to the bottom of this hill, and then I just have a nice road walk, and then I'm in Harper's Ferry. And you just got to keep, those small goals and just accumulate them. And I feel like, yeah, that's kind of the preparation process was just the same mindset.
So what would you say your longest adventure or your longest, hiking experience was before this?
Before this, I think it was just 4 days on the Connecticut section of the Appalachian Trail, and then I had done a couple, 2-3 day climbing trips that involved some hiking and camping out, and a couple of romps up in the Whites. But yeah, I mean, nothing that holds a torch to this.
So what were some of the things that you thought maybe were going to happen after, that 4 day, trip in Connecticut, and you're like, all right, I think I got the hang of this. What are some of the things you've learned 1,100 miles in that maybe, I don't know, surprise you?
Surprises. That's a good question. I mean, long hikes like this are just going to really help you streamline, just your setup and the way you go about your day. Actually, you know what? I quit drinking coffee this week just to, make my morning
Oh my
routine even
gosh.
faster.
Serious?
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's obsessed with coffee, I never would have guessed that was going to happen.
Why did you decide to do that?
Yeah, so I switched to stoveless recently too. So I was just drinking cold coffee in the morning with my Pop-Tarts, and I was just like, well, I don't need the coffee. I can just wean off of it and, just get my day going with the Pop-Tarts, and as soon as camp is broken down, start hiking.
Dude, that is so. I mean, so leading up to this, I gotta tell people I was following you on Instagram and Facebook, and obviously we're in touch as this thing's getting closer, and I just see you all the time selling gear, refiguring your kit. It was like you got obsessed with just hyper light and being as light and efficient as possible. Would you say that's true? I mean, that's at least what it seemed like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just stuck at my mom's house for 3 months thinking about nothing but backpacking. So it's that was when it got real unhealthy, and I could just put a ton of focus into just that. But yeah, I mean, now I'm packing pretty light and moving pretty fast, so I'm not complaining about it.
So that's one of your goals then, to be as light and as fast as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
So man, what is this stoveless thing? Is that what it sounds like? Just trying to eat things that don't have to be cooked? And if so, what are you eating?
Well, so throughout the day, like I said, I'm starting my morning with 4 Pop-Tarts every day, and I just change flavor once a week so I don't get burnt out.
Four Pop-Tarts, man.
That's a good 800 calories right there. Just get you going.
Hey, whatever works, man.
And then throughout the day, I usually have, like 6 bars. I kind of do half Cliff bars, half, like Snickers candy bars. And then for dinner, I've been just cold soaking couscous. So I have a Talenti ice cream jar that's, obviously ate all the ice cream. And yeah, an hour before I get to camp, I just load it up with water and couscous, and it's cooked and ready to eat by the time I get to camp. So there's no fussing around with the stove when I'm just trying to pack, unpack and eat at night.
Oh my gosh, man. I mean, do you enjoy that level of minimalism? Like, to me, it'd get old, I'd want to fry up some bacon or something.
I do. I mean, honestly, for me, it got old just having a bunch of stuff to fuss with and worrying about, oh, is this fuel canister almost out? And, where am I going to get the next one? And yeah, it's just one extra level of simplicity. I can always find couscous.
There you go. I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't know what's out there in those mountains. So maybe, but so man, you're halfway through this thing. It's been an adventure. Your pictures have been incredible. Halfway in, what are your thoughts about the trip so far? Has it what have you learned, and has it been what you expected?
That's a good question. It's been a lot of what I expected, and then also a lot of just I didn't know what to expect coming into this. So I'd say I was surprised by how much I absolutely fell in love with Maine. And I'd say the biggest thing is, starting southbound, that just set such a high precedent for the rest of the trail. So honestly, I was kind of dragging through the mid-Atlantic section just after coming out of such, majesty in New Hampshire and the Whites in Maine. So yeah, I'm kind of getting sidetracked here.
Well, you probably have a pretty nice view to look at on top of a mountain right now too. So, but no, man. So you started off in Maine, and that's probably, it would have been cool to go northbound like you originally planned, but you adapted. Now you're going southbound. You're making it halfway. What are some of the things you're hoping for the second half, or you're hoping to kind of, because it's essentially what you've done. Just again, I don't know if that lights a fire in you in a good or bad way. Sometimes that might, sound terrible. Like, oh, I got to do all this again. What are you thinking about going into the second half?
So I've been kind of thinking it as a count up until this point. It's like, 800 miles, 900 miles. And now I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm counting down, like Georgia seems tangible now that I'm on this side of the Mason-Dixon line. So some things I'm hoping for, I just want to just keep a good rhythm so I can hike as big miles as I can, but also have time to, just enjoy as much of it as I can. That's one thing that I find is you're always trying to find that perfect balance of, getting that mileage done while still enjoying it and just stopping and being like, wow, I'm out here in these unbelievable places and just soaking it all in.
How have the people been?
People have been great, actually. So there's not a ton of southbound thru-hikers. There's a group of guys that I've, run into here and there. I don't think I've seen another thru-hiker in probably 8 days now.
Holy cow. Even northbound?
Yeah, well, no one's going northbound this time of the year because, you're just going to hit Maine and, New Hampshire in the wintertime. Yeah, I'm seeing section hikers and day hikers, but yeah, a lot of it's just, hiking by myself during the day and, a couple of hellos, how's it goings? And then, yeah, I got a shelter all to myself at night.
Dude, it's like a real wilderness experience in a lot of ways. Because I hear that oftentimes is not the case on the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, that's why I'm actually kind of happy with the way things worked out this year is, you're going northbound normally and, there's 3,000 other people starting at, Springer Mountain and everyone's rushing for the shelters and you can't get a spot at the shelter if you're not there by noon. But I can roll into the shelters at 9 p.m. by headlamp and, I'm guaranteed a spot.
I saw this picture of you with a paintbrush in your hand painting some trailblazers. Tell us about that. How'd you get looped into some trail work while you're out there?
Oh man, so I was in New York and a buddy of mine met me at one of the shelters and was like, hey, I know this, trail angel. He's, grilling up some food at his house. Let's go there. So, he ended up being, he was a former thru-hiker, thru-hiked in 88. And then the guy in that picture, Carlo, he thru-hiked in 2003. So, it was a bunch of like former thru-hikers and I ended up, camping. I just set up my sleeping pad and the attic of his garage that night, and then woke up in the morning and they're like, oh yeah, we got to go paint some white blazes on that switchback. Wait a minute, let's let the thru-hiker do it. So yeah, just drove down there. Carlo already had the post up and, ready to go. And we just, mapped out the 2-inch by 6-inch blaze and put it up.
There you go. Giving back a little bit, little two for the trail
Exactly.
works, man. That's awesome. So, what would you say was your biggest maybe misconception going into this experience, being halfway through now?
Biggest misconception for me, everyone talks about how much they hate the Pennsylvania section and all the northbounders are, telling you the whole trail, like, oh, have fun in Rocksylvania, you're gonna break your ankle. I thought it was a lovely state, honestly. um,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it was rocky and all, but it was just nice, deciduous forests, and it was right as the leaves were starting to turn. And yeah, I mean, I had a blast. I got to see a buddy of mine, that I went to elementary school with. So Pennsylvania was a fantastic state for me.
Dude, that's awesome. Was that planned or just kind of ran into him?
No, no, it was planned. I called
Okay.
him. Yeah,
That would have been amazing.
that would have been kinda crazy. Actually, that did happen on the long trail. Um, I knew my friend's little brother was planning on hiking the long trail, but I didn't really know when. So I roll up to a shelter at 8 p.m. and it's already dark. And, there's a long trail hiker, and he's just like, yeah, just keep it down. Everyone's, there's a couple people sleeping already. And I was like, people are sleeping already. And then from the dark recesses of the shelter, I just hear someone say, Alex?
Oh my
And
gosh.
my trail name's Armadillo. So I'm like, who in this shelter knows my government name? And yeah, my buddy's brother, Chris, just comes out and he's like, what's up, man? Yeah.
This is the best time to move to the mountain town of your dreams. COVID-19 has changed the way the world works and probably the way you work. I know that I work more remotely now that all this has happened. So why not live somewhere that you want to, in a mountain paradise that you've always dreamed of? Well, the Gunnison Valley in Colorado is that perfect place. It's nestled right between a bunch of mountains, all sorts of things to do. There's over 750 miles of biking and hiking single track. Crested Butte right there in the valley has world-class skiing, and the whole county has an award-winning school system. So imagine waking up in your ultimate destination every single morning. No traffic, no crowded trails, no more wishing you lived in the mountains like I do. Work where you play in the Gunnison Valley. They'll be able to help you make that mountain dream come true at icelab.co. That's icelab.co. And consider the Gunnison Valley your new home.
That is too crazy, man. I've had a few of those things happen just out on an adventure somewhere and think, what the heck are the chances? It honestly adds so much to the experience. So, okay, so your trail name, Armadillo, is there a story behind that you can share?
Oh, there is a story behind it, and it kind of breaks my heart. There's this rock climbing route that goes up Mount Katahdin, called the Armadillo. It's about 400 or 500 feet long, this big face. Give me one sec. There's a train going by again.
Okay, no worries. I heard it. It's adding to the interview for sure.
Yeah. So there's this route up Katahdin called the Armadillo, and we were supposed to start the trail by climbing up that route, just because most people hike up Katahdin to do it, and I've just been obsessed with climbing this route for 2 years since I got into rock climbing. It's just this, beautiful, picturesque, really aesthetic face climb. So we go up to climb it. We get up to Chimney Pond, which is like right about where the face of the climb starts. And sure enough, it starts raining and blowing 45-mile-an-hour winds. So, we're just like, all right, guess we're not climbing the Armadillo. And yeah, just had to hike up to the summit. So, when I was on the trail, I was kind of complaining about not getting to climb the Armadillo. And a buddy of mine came back to me the next day and he's just like, I was thinking about it all day and I think your trail name should be Armadillo. And I was like, man, I wanted that to be my trail name, but I wanted it for climbing it, but I'll take it anyways. But now it's pulling me to the fact that I have to go back next year and climb it,
There
which
you
I'm
go.
totally.
Oh yeah, man. I don't doubt that you'll for 1 second that you'll be excited to do it. So man, that's crazy. Tell us about something that has happened out there that I don't know. Has there been any strange any encounter with animals or just anything that stuck out to you as maybe a frightful experience?
Well, I haven't had any crazy encounters. I saw 2 moose and I saw 1 bear.
Oh wow.
The only thing I'd call an encounter, I was in my tent one night. I had my food bag in the vestibule of my tent. And so at about 11, I hear some rustling around and I look over and there's just a skunk going through my food bag, a foot away from me.
Oh jeez.
So
Looking for
I
some
just
Pop
start like,
Tarts.
Yeah, I guess so. So I just start, rustling and making noise and, trying to find the delicate balance of like scaring him without him spraying me. So, I get him to run away a little bit, and he comes running back. He's just kind of undeterred by me, and he turns around and looks like he's about to spray me one time. And while he was turned around, I just pulled my food bag into my tent, zipped it up, and he just ended up thrown in the towel. And yeah, I guess that's about as close to an animal encounter as I had.
Yeah, that's way more inconvenient than anything. If you were to get sprayed, honestly. How about people? Nothing. You said the people have been great, but nothing crazy on that end.
No, nothing too sketchy or anything. Nothing to report really. Just people have been hospitable the whole way. As you're going through these small towns that are used to seeing tons of through hikers, and the numbers just got so chopped down this year that they're just so happy to see anybody on the trail. And yeah, it's been fantastic just going into these small rural towns that you'd normally never go through.
Wow, man. And that's a good point. These people, it's almost this industry, communities built around, having, through hikers accessing them and utilizing them. What have you noticed this year, just kind of the effect of the coronavirus on, first of all, the whole population of through hikers, like you said, chopped down. These towns are struggling because of it, and visitation and whatnot. Has there been anything else unexpected or that you've seen that's probably unique for 2020?
I do know that a couple of hostels along the trail actually did shut down for good because of this year, because they didn't have that revenue coming in March, April, May, when they need it the most. They're big months. So I'd say that's probably the biggest hit that, these towns have taken. Other than that, it's kind of like living my life before I got on trail. It's just wear your mask when you go into the grocery store, and when you leave, sanitize your hands properly. And yeah, you're walking past somebody, just keep your distance.
It's probably not all that hard out there.
No, it's not.
Cool, man. So let me ask you this, for folks that maybe want to do this. A lot of people aspire to through hike at some point in their life. What have you learned that you wish you would have known, before you went? Maybe, you don't need this necessarily, or you don't need to be this prepared, or you do need this. Is there anything that you would have wanted to know a few months ago when you started that you now know?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to answer that, just because I ended up, doing so much hiking with, I did the Connecticut section with my friends who were through hiking it at the time. So I kind of got to pick their brains about all that. And I didn't really have any surprises going into it. So I guess before that, though, it's the one thing is you don't need to bring as much as you think you need to bring. And if you're ever planning on hiking the Appalachian Trail, just do a couple 2-3 day backpacking trips and just get your setup dialed in. And if you can do a 3-day backpacking trip, you can do the Appalachian Trail, because it's just a series of 3 to 4 day backpacking trips. I'd say anybody listening, yeah, just go for it. If you're in a place where you can do it in your life, absolutely go for it.
A bunch of 3 to 4 day trips just string together. I've heard it described that way before, and that's how any of my experiences have been. It's just as much stuff if I go out for the weekend, because you need all kind of the same. You need a tent, sleeping bag, and all that same stuff. And a longer trip is just doing that weekend experience just in a row over and over again.
Yeah,
that's because you resupply at some point. You got to get more water at some point. No, it's a great way to put it, man. That's really cool. So being out there all day long, I've heard mixed feedback about like what you think about all day. When you have all day to hike and all day to get this done, and now that you're having more and more time as you cut out, coffee and like things that I'm like out there to enjoy. What are you thinking about all day? What's going through your mind? Is it just keeping up with the next step, or is it wandering off into, what's in the future?
You have so much time that you can think about all that stuff. If you're on something that's rocky, yeah, all you're thinking about is just staying focused and watching your footing. But yeah, a lot of the times it's just thinking about yeah, the future and, yeah, I'm kind of trying to figure out where, I'm going to go career wise after the trail, or, if I even want to settle down, or if I want to, move into a van and go drive around or something. And yeah, I mean, your mind can go all over the place. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts too. So I've been trying to, stay informed, listen to some science podcasts, and then, just listen to some funny ones to space out, and obviously binge without compromise.
Boom. There you go. Even podcast too, man. That's yeah, that would excite me the most, the time you get to spend just consuming podcasts. I mean, I love podcasts. It's been so long since I've been able to go on a good podcast binge. But yeah, man. So speaking of that, what you've got another 1,000 miles essentially, a little bit more. Do you think this is something you've fallen in love with to the point you want to keep doing it, or do you think this is like, I did the AT, I'm done?
No, I think I'm stuck for life.
Stuck for life, man. I mean, there's a lot of trails out there. What do you think? What do you think that's going to look like moving forward for you?
Moving forward, I mean, so I think I'm going to take 2021 to do some, smaller objectives. I'm not going to go, like, I do have Triple Crown Dreams, which is, for those who don't know, it's the Appalachian Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail, and the Continental Divide Trail. So that's definitely in my radar. But I think next year I want to summit Mount Rainier. So I'll probably work towards that. I want to finish off the New England 67 list, which is all of the 4,000 footers in New England. And actually I ticked off about 35 of them on this trip. I went out of my way for every single one I went near. And then the trail goes directly over a bunch of them as well. Man, what else? I got to go back for the Armadillo. And yeah, maybe the Colorado Trail. If I can get 20, 25 days to do that.
Man, yeah, that's, I mean, there's an endless amount. I mean, come down and do the Florida Trail sometime. I hear that's a great wintertime experience. It surprises people.
Yeah, that's the hot ticket item is, the Florida Trail, and I think people do the AZT in winter, the Arizona Trail.
Yep. That's another one that you can do in the wintertime. And, with Two for the Trails, we're actually going to be working on the Florida Trail and the AZT here soon.
There you go.
Yeah, man. So you will have to, if we are and you're around, man, you're more than welcome to come help out. But, dude, this is so interesting. Yeah. This is so much. What would you like people to know about through hiking or about the Appalachian Trail, who maybe are interested in learning more or experiencing it themselves?
That's what I like people to know. So, I mean, I'd say everybody should just, go out and hike a little bit of it. The trail is, I think the stat is it's within 6 hours of 50% of the U.S. population, which is, pretty astounding. So anyone who's listening, just, come out here and you'll fall in love. Every state just has something amazing to offer. Maine and New Hampshire with their enormous peaks, and, Connecticut, it was just, bucolic. And I mean, it's my home state, so I love it dearly. And, who knows what I'm going to walk into coming up is, I got Shenandoah in a couple of days. And yeah, I mean, just come out here and see it.
It sounds like you're just loving every minute of it.
Yeah. I mean, I get my butt kicked throughout the day, but just being able to do this is unreal. I never take it for granted.
Has it gotten to the point at any point on the trail where you feel like you couldn't keep going, or you feel pretty good about just putting in your miles and getting the job done?
No, I'm feeling pretty good about getting the job done. Actually, that's kind of why I decided to switch to a tarp, was just give myself one more new challenge to fool around with, just to kind of keep myself engaged.
You're just it's too easy for you, man. You're like this really smart kid in school where it's just like not challenging enough. You gotta start just sleeping out. Like I told you, you're gonna show up in Georgia just naked with nothing but like a stick. And
I just got a darn tough sock.
Just your socks on. That's.
I will say, I was super challenged by Maine and New Hampshire and parts of Vermont. Just those enormous peaks, and it's in the summer, so you're just getting, all your water's getting sucked out of you. That was hard. But I was able to know that it's just that first 400 miles that's actively trying to kill you. And if you can get through that, I mean, you can get through the whole trail. But I mean, who knows? I'm talking a big game and I'm only halfway through. Maybe there's something in the next 100 miles or 1,100 miles that's going to kill me.
Man, my only assumption would be weather. You know, if weather decides to get some early cold snaps really, really bad, I don't know. Is that a concern for you?
Yeah, it kind of is. I just had all my winter gear shipped out. My mom's been great about shipping me gear. But there was a cold front for about 5 or 6 days where it was 30 degrees in Pennsylvania. So I ordered a quilt, and that's why I kind of got held up at the end of Pennsylvania, is because USPS just lost it for a couple of days. And I was sitting around waiting for this quilt that never showed up. Pretty frustrating just knowing I'm, 80 miles back for no reason. But yeah, I mean, as long as I can get that by the Smokies, because I figure that's, if the weather's going to kill me, it's going to be there at this point. So as long as I get it by there, I'm happy.
Hey, more challenges to come. You might want some walls to your tent here soon, but who knows? You might be totally happy out there. But
yeah,
dude,
who knows?
Let me ask you this. We've got a couple, I'd love to ask some rapid fire questions. You don't have to answer them quick, just a couple sentences at the most.
Sure.
Just kind of outside of this. And I'll try to think of a few that aren't like pretty obvious, because it's like usually their biggest goal not yet achieved. And I would probably say it's finishing the AT for you, if I had to guess. So yeah, man, let me ask you this. Rapid fire question number 1. What are you most curious about right now out there besides the trail itself and like what to do after?
I don't know. I kind of want to get back in school and just see, once I haven't been in school in 8 or 9 years, and just see where like my brain goes and what it emanates towards, and if it kind of puts me on a career path. So I guess I'm curious about, the path my future is going to take after the trail.
Dude, that's really cool, because I hear that a lot from adventurers. It's like adventure opens your mind, but then you're a little bit directionless when you get back. Like you have all these new thoughts and new ways of thinking, and then almost you need structure to it, kind of to push it somewhere. Dude, I've totally experienced that myself. That's really interesting. That's really cool. What would you say your proudest achievement is outside of what you've done so far on the AT?
Well, I will say, my proudest achievement on the AT is the Connecticut Challenge, which we haven't even gotten into. I forgot to tell you about that.
Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, so I did the 50.7 mile Connecticut section in one day, and it was the worst day of my life.
50 miles in a day?
Yeah.
Holy, what was that like, dude? Okay, sorry. You got to tell us about this. This is nuts.
So it started out at 2:30 a.m. Well, I woke up at 1:20 a.m. and it was a thunderstorm, thunder and lightning, and they were near. And my buddy Charlie had come out to meet me, and he had to catch a flight, and we were both planning on leaving at 2:30. So he's just like, I can't wait for this. I'm just going to leave the tent here and have one of my friends pick it up. And he bails at 1:40 in the morning.
Oh my gosh. So
then at 2:15 a.m., I'm like, all right, it's not going to let up. I'm just going to start hiking. So I, just got moving in like torrential downpours and thunderstorms at, the Connecticut, Massachusetts border. Yeah, luckily it let up by about, 6 a.m. And I knew the terrain really well, having done that section twice already. And, I'd done a ton of day hikes on various parts of it as well. So I knew what I was getting into. And honestly, the first 35, 40 miles weren't that bad as far as how I felt physically. But then once I hit 40 miles, I was, I finished this 5-mile flat section and then was going straight up these cliffs called St. John's Ledges. And I just bonked with, 10.5 miles to go, and just, couldn't get back, didn't get a second wind, and just was dragging a dead body 10 miles to the finish line. But I made it there in 23 hours and 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh,
so
man. Barely
made it. And then as soon as I hit the parking lot at the Connecticut Massachusetts border at 1:40 a.m., I just took off my pack, laid my head on top of it, and passed out.
Oh my gosh.
Finally, I woke up an hour later and set up my tent, but yeah, I mean, I was just wiped by the time I got there.
Dude.
So it definitely gave me a lot of respect for the people who, are running the FKTs on this trail, and, a lot of the athletic ambassadors who are going after these, 50, 100-mile races. So
yeah,
it was not easy, and, much props to all the ultra runners out there. You guys are badass.
That's incredible to do it all while through hiking in under 24 hours. Congratulations. And I was going to ask you how far past the border you got. Did you just get there and lay down? Because I imagine you did. Because it's like
I actually touched the border and then had to go back into Connecticut just because that's where there was a little patch of woods.
Oh my gosh, man. Dude, whatever you can do to keep challenging yourself. That's an adventure right there, man. That's a day to remember.
Yeah. I'm happy I did it. It was, one of the hardest things I've ever done, and yeah, I'm glad I went for it.
I love when people throw challenges like that inside of an overall larger adventure. That's really cool, man. Hopefully you got another one, something like that to look forward to.
Well, the other big one is the 4-state challenge, which I would already be in the middle of right now because it goes from Pennsylvania to Virginia. And I was just like, you know what? After the Connecticut challenge, I'm good.
You did your challenge. You did your challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, for Christ's sake, you're doing the whole AT. So, I mean, that's a challenge. Do you have any hobbies that you'd don't talk about or folks don't really know much about?
Yeah. I dabble with a lot of instruments. My dad's a musician and our whole family's pretty musical. So I don't really have, I have a bunch that I kind of tinker with. I wouldn't say I'm amazing at any of them, but yeah, I mess around on guitar and banjo. What else? I'm big into like fixed gear cycling when I'm not hiking, and I even though I quit coffee this week, I'm obsessed with specialty coffee. So as soon as I get back from the trail, I'm definitely jumping right back into that. But for now, we're just keeping it streamlined.
That's funny, man. I mean, is there any daily habit out there that you do that, helps you get ready for the day or something health-wise? Obviously, you're not having coffee or, and Pop-Tarts doesn't count, but is there anything you're doing to like take care of yourself on a daily basis?
Yeah, just trying to stretch out, making sure you don't get shin splints or roll your ankle or anything like that. Just, lower body stretches, and, my shoulders get kind of tired just from wearing a pack, even though it, barely weighs anything. So just stretching out the rotator cuffs. But other than that, nothing too crazy. Just eat a salad when you get into town because I probably haven't seen a vegetable in a week.
Right. Yeah, man. No vegetables. You're not carrying them in your pack. So whenever you can get them, get them. Oh, man, that's too funny. What would you say to kind of wrap it all up? What does it mean to you to live without compromise?
To me, I mean, it was, going after the Appalachian Trail this year, and, no matter what the world threw at 2020, just seeing it through. And yeah, it was completely different than I expected, starting up in Maine and, heading southbound and hiking all the way until November or maybe even December. But yeah, just getting out here without compromising on that.
There was ever a year for folks to get away, to kind of unplug. I think it's folks that have gone through this year. There's so many folks that are tired, and we're not even into November yet. So 2020 still got some firepower to it. So it's not over yet. But man, that's you're having a better 2020 than a lot of us.
Yeah, I'm having a good time out here. I don't mean to rub it in.
Hey man, we're gonna live vicariously through you. Well, man, Alex, I can't tell you how much of a pleasure it is to have gotten to know you over the last almost a year now, and also just having you on the Athletic Brewing Ambassador team. You're killing it. You're obviously an inspiration, and we're very proud of you and what you're accomplishing out there. So know that you're never alone, even when you're out there. We're following you. We're excited for you, and thanks for being on the team.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be a part of Athletic Brewing, and I'm just happy to hear from you.
Absolutely. I'd love to see you at some point, maybe at the end. I don't know. You might want to be alone to finish it off, but Dude, enjoy your couscous and your Pop-Tarts and your no coffee, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
All right, bye.
First of all, thank you so much for listening. It means the world to us that you choose to listen to the show. If you'd like to help us further, you can leave a review on iTunes, share us with your friends, your family. It goes a long way to grow in the show. You can also support us financially through patreon.com/adventuresportspodcast. Link is in the show notes. And also, if you have an idea of who could be a good guest for the show, we're always looking for people to tell their story about the outdoors or adventure. So if you know someone, please reach out. Email us at info@adventuresportspodcast.com. And until then, get out there and have some fun.